In this extremely easy tutorial, we are going to go and make a thing. And this is the thing from the new Wednesday Addams Series over on Netflix. What you're going to need is some flesh tone clay. This is polymer clay that I'm using, and this flesh tone clay does take a bit of time for it to go and warm up and for you to go and work it, so it's going to take a couple minutes. After it's fully worked and you can roll it into a ball and there's no separation between any of the clay, take a small piece of this, roll it in your hands, and we're going to use our hand as reference. Now this is going to be the upper portion of thing, so this is going to be just the portion of where the hand meets the wrist area. So make sure you're looking at your hand, create a cupped shape on the bottom, but keep the top of this relatively tubular and pretty thin. What you're going to go and do now is after you've shaped it like that and it's rounded at the edges, this is just the base, so we're going to go and roll out some fingers. Take some of the clay, roll it out into a tube, cut off 5 different pieces, 2 of them should be slightly smaller, 3 should be a little bit longer, stick them all into place where the thumb and all of the fingers would go. After all of those are attached and spaced pretty evenly, we're going to go and shape them to be more finger-like. So I'm taking a metal sculpting tool, blending the edges where it connects, and then pulling out the fingers slightly along with rounding the end. I'm just making sure I'm getting a lot of the different little kind of folds and extra little bumps, raises, anything like that out. So I'm using just this area of the sculpting tool, rolling this around, and just taking out any of the little extra folds and marks. Now for the fingers, you pinch at where all of the different joints would be, and round out the tip of the finger. For the fingernails, we're using a metal sculpting tool, putting 2 little lines on the edge, a semicircle, and then just smoothing out the middle. For the top of it, you can always put a little tiny line, and then for any of the little tiny folds and marks of the finger, just make a couple little tiny lines all the way up to where the knuckle is. You're going to go and do this for all 5 of the fingers. It's the same exact process for all of them. Just make sure to bend the finger in after you are done creating the semicircle and what the nail is, along with also putting the lines down. Now we're going to add all of the different cuts along with also the stitched areas. So let's put those on. It's just pretty simple. Press into the clay, but not too much where you bend the fingers. And I'm using an old makeup palette, putting some of the eyeshadow there and brushing it on to give this a base before I put this into the oven. For any of the stitched areas that you're going to go and put some clay over, make sure to use some red eyeshadow, put that into all of the folds before you go and fold them back in. Now take a very, very thin piece of black polymer clay, roll it out, and use this for the stitches. This part will take some time, and definitely take your time doing this. Put your polymer clay into the oven, let this bake, and after it's done baking, go back over all of the nail beds with a small amount of acrylic paint, wait for that to dry, fill in any of the little tiny lines, go back over where all of the red cuts are, fill that in with just a small amount of this red acrylic paint, and then after that's dry, brush on a bit more eyeshadow, blend it out, wait for everything to dry, and thing is now done. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I will see you next time. Take it easy, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.